What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Foxbody Junkie YouTube channel. And today we're going to go ahead and work on the engine for our Project 86 GT. Okay, so this is the engine for our Project 86 GT. What this is a bone stock 5-liter HO out of a 93 Mustang. This is basically going to be a factory rebuild type deal. I'm just going to go ahead and tear it down, do fresh gaskets, oil pan gaskets, head gasket, timing cover, water pump, stuff like that, and then basically put it back in the car. The only modifications we are going to do to this engine is basically just a set of headers and maybe a 65mm throttle body, similar to like a 93 Cobra. I'm actually probably going to go ahead and utilize an Explorer throttle body, and partially because this one is broken, the housing. I did purchase this engine from a junkyard locally for about 300 bucks, so they are still out there. You just got to be, looking for them. And so that was a pretty good deal. It came as you see it with the fuel lines and everything. I do have the lower pulley off of it, and I have a water pump pulley, so that's not a big deal. And then this actually whole setup here is off of a V6, if you're wondering why it looks kind of crazy. Essentially I bought the long block, but I needed a power steering pump as well, so I went ahead and grabbed this off of a V6 car and just kind of left it on here. So this is off a V6 car. Basically just here is a placeholder. We are going to go ahead and utilize this bigger power steering pump pulley though, with this power steering pump that's on it, and should be a good little unit for us. Alright, next thing we're going to work on, we're going to get this upper intake pulled off. In order to do that, it's got 4 T20 Torx bit bolts holding it on. These are held on with Loctite in the threads as well from the factory, so if your upper intake has never been pulled off, it's a good idea to go ahead and heat these up with a propane torch, butane torch, whatever you got, and melt that Loctite down a little bit so you don't break off the bolt in the intake manifold. Alright, went ahead, we got the upper intake pulled off of there. Something I want to note to you guys, I've seen so many of these broken. If you look on these connectors, let my camera focus here. You focus, come on. You can kind of make out where it says push right here on the connector. You literally just have to push down on the connector right here and then pull it off. Look, I'll try to do it one-handed. It's that simple. I've seen so many of these broken because guys try to pry up on this clip. Don't try to pry up on it. Literally. Just push down on this side where it says push and pull, and it'll come right off. So what I've done is I've sprayed some WD-40 here on these fuel line connections. Sometimes the springs, they've never been off, they can be a real pain in the butt. So this top one I've got, I think this is a 1/2 inch on here. Yeah, so I've got a 1/2 inch on this one and a 5/8 on this one. This is just a cheap Harbor Freight line removal tool set. And you'll actually feel them when you press down. You can feel that spring kind of open up. And let's see if I go ahead and take this line and pop this one off. Pop these lines off of here. It makes your life a little bit easier because then you can kind of move them around. You want to be careful not to bend them taking them off. Can be a little on the snug side. There you go. This one, feel that pop and it comes right out. So what that does is there's a spring inside of here. You guys can see that spring. Well, this slides over the other end of the fuel line and it pushes that spring open so you can pull them out. But if these are rusty and never been off before, it can be quite a big pain in the butt. So that was pretty smooth on that one. Hopefully hopefully this one comes off pretty easy too. There we go. Well, here's the first look inside our Junkyard 302. If you ask me, that's really, really clean. A lot of this, you know, little dirt and trash here is just from me pulling the intake off, which will vacuum all that off. But man, that looks really good. Should be, at least just by judging by this, should be a good little engine. Once we get the valve covers off of here, we'll see if there's any smudge or anything built up in here. And that'll kind of tell us a good bill of health on the engine too. So let's get at it. Good little motor. Looks like it was well cared for. Alright, you'll see in here, there's a little bit of dirt right here. That just happened from taking that off. But, I mean, no smudge buildup. No rust or anything. Looks very, very clean. This side's actually still got some oil in it. Look down at the valves coming out in between the springs. The valve seals look like they're in good shape. They don't look dry rotted or anything. That's pretty impressive. Well, I think this is a stout little engine here. We'll go ahead and remove these. Very good shape. And yeah, I think this is going to be a good little run. And look at the crosshatch. Obviously this one's got some shit in it, but nice cross hatching. I don't feel a ridge on any of them. So this is a nice short block right here. So we're pretty happy with this. I want to get a couple more things off. I like to get the motor mounts taken off and then start working on getting the front accessory stuff taken off, get the balancer taken off. We are going to actually use this one, believe it or not. It's still in really, really good shape. A lot of times this rubber will be super deteriorated. It's possible that it's had a balancer replacement on it at some point in time. But we're going to go ahead and reuse this. We'll just clean it up, give it a fresh coat of paint, and go ahead and utilize that. We'll use the factory timing cover. We're just going to clean it up, and yeah, we'll see how it looks. It might need a fresh coat of paint, it might not. You never know. Sometimes this stuff cleans up really nice, and you can just kind of leave it alone. So either way, like I said, get the motor mounts off, start working on getting the stuff off of here. I want to get the oil pan taken off. I am going to do an oil pan gasket. Although, I mean, you guys can tell, for being an original motor that's really never been taken apart, this is really nothing. I mean, it's not wet anywhere. It doesn't look like it's had any real bad leaks. You know, it looks really good. You can tell this is a rubber one-piece oil pan gasket. It's the good stuff. Like I said, no cork bullshit around here. So, yeah, let's go ahead and just keep working at it. I'll give you guys a progress update once I get some of that stuff off. All right, got you guys all set up on my balancer removal here. Showed you guys, I kind of show you how to do that. So this is just a generic wheel, what is it called? Bolt type wheel, puller, whatever. Same thing you would use if you're going to remove a steering wheel. It comes with different assortment of bolts. I got it from Harbor Freight. They're not all that expensive. I've seen people try to use like the 3-jaw puller and stuff. It works. This is just a lot easier. You've got your 2 bolts that thread into your balancer here where your crankshaft pulley would go. Once you thread those in, you kind of thread this all the way into the crankshaft. You're not going to try to thread it into the crankshaft. What they do is they give you these little things that go on the end of this that slide into them. And I've got a bigger one on there now, so it'll just kind of rotate around on the crankshaft. When I get it out, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. And then all you're going to do is you're just going to start tightening this shaft here, and that's going to draw this pulley out, or this balancer out. And install is kind of the same way. There's a couple different ways you can install it. I've used the old mallet with a block of wood and then put it in there with a bolt. I've used the actual balancer installer. Both work fine. Some people might argue that you'll mess up the bearings if you whack on it, but to each their own on that. And once it gets to a certain point, I want to maintain a grip on this thing because it'll come out. You don't want your balancer falling on the ground. I've only had it one time where I've actually taken one of these off and it just slid right off. It was only one time. The rest of the time I've always had to pull them off like this. Alright, and we're off. So just like that, got the balancer off, didn't mess anything up. Go ahead and take our bolts out of here and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about on this shaft here. So if you've never seen one of these, this will slide down, and basically all I was doing is that was resting inside of this right here and just spinning, pushing that balancer out. If you've never seen it, that's how it works. I'm not taking the camshaft out. We're going to leave it in there. Yeah, we'll definitely put a new chain on that. That's quite a bit of slack. So we'll put a new chain on it, and we'll get it rotated over to TDC and do all that. But that's pretty much going to be it for this video, you guys, on kind of how to tear down your stock 302. Like I said, thank y'all for watching. If you learned something, please, I don't know, drop a like, leave a comment, share the video. Appreciate y'all for watching. We're going to get this thing cleaned up and start getting these parts put back on here, but they're going to look a whole lot different. So look out for that video. Can't wait to get everything assembled on here so we can get it put in the car. That's the next step after that. So appreciate y'all for watching. Y'all have a good one.